hello and welcome back to the channel Edify. So it's been a week of gap and now we are back with the next paper in the second semester of B.Ed, which is assessment for learning, and we have summary with explanation in a single video. Complete paper we gonna see it. It's kind of a rapid roundup video. So coming to the basics of assessment, that is first unit of assessment for learning. So the basics of assessment unit that covers many topics, that is measurement, the meaning and definition of it, then assessment's meaning, definition, role, everything is covered, and even the principal practices of assessment. So when it comes to measurement, what is measurement? The word measurement means measuring something. So here in learning process we define that as giving numbers to persons or object according to some established rule. The rule is already there. If a person scores above the above mark, then any other persons in the class or in the district, they hold the first place in the class, first place in the school, first place in the district, or wherever, whatever it is. So there is some established rule. Based on that established rule, we give numbers to the persons. Your first, your last, your second, like that we give numbers to the person. So that is what measurement, especially in these examinations. And it is also, we can say, like, this is kind of assignment as one of set of numbers to each set of person. So it is a process that is involving with numerical index. So even this measurement is defined by few authors. We can say that Thorndike, MC Call, Campbell, Tyler, and Nanali. So Tyler, what Tyler says is assignment of numerals according to rules. Assignment of numerals according to rules. Okay. Now the main topic, that is assessment. What is assessment? It means we are learning by collecting the information. We collect the information, we arrange it together, we make a such order, and we make it as proper assessment. Once it done, then we learn from that and we did. Because why the learning via assessment is so strong? Because a person who do assessment, he himself go and collect the information with lot of resources without depending on particular teacher. He himself sit and read and collect the information. That is what important point. And this assessment is not just an activity, it is qualitative and quantitative. Both assessments are there. It is qualitative and quantitative as well. So it is a process where usually teacher or examiner attempts to find out about the knowledge. So they'll be giving to the learner and they'll be asking them to do the assessment and find what is the exact output. There are many many definitions are given, and in the USA the term evaluation is used instead of assessment. So they are using evaluation instead of assessment. And it, same in UK, assessment is used instead of evaluation. So in US they are using evaluation instead of assessment, and UK they are using assessment instead of evaluation. So both are same. It's based on the persons and based on the rules and regulations they have in their education system, they are using it. Okay. What is the measurement? That is giving numbers to learning, we see. And evaluation is all about judging the overall performance. So same comes in assessment, right? So when a person collect the information and learn, they judge about that particular topic, their capacity, everything will come under this assessment also. So both are similar, that is why they name it whatever it is. Okay. So even for evaluation, NCRT have given the definition. Evaluation is the process of determining the extent to which an objective is being attained. Like that, they also given the definition. Now, uh, this assessment have role in learning. How the assessment help in the learning process? Just you are doing one assignment, how it will help you in the learning process? You have that thought, right? So assessment can be learning. Why? Because student reflect their own learning. They learn self learning. It is teacher give the guidance, but they learn their self. So as learning, if we see, reflect on their learning. For learning, teachers are guiding. For learning, teachers are guiding the students to improve. Off learning, how it is in off learning? Judges want students have learned. So what the student have learned, we have to judge it, right? We have to, it's not like judging, it is like finding also. Judging, finding. It is all about giving them questions, giving them some kind of project, some kind of mcqs, and testing their questions. So as learning, for learning, off learning, everything, the assessment plays role. Everywhere the assessment plays role. Teacher and student co-construct the learning, teacher and student co-construct the assessment, and teacher and student co-construct the learning progress map as well. So assessment as learning, it has many functions. And assessment for learning is like involving the increased level of students, but not without teacher guidance or collaboration. So without teacher guidance, it cannot be possible. Without teacher's guidance, it cannot be possible. Same assessment for learning, their teacher decides the learning, they collects the evidence and judges what has been learned and what has not been learned also. Okay, now coming to formative and summative assessment. What is formative and what is summative? Formative is a great tool that is used by the teacher whether the student is listening properly and they have non-threatening supportive environment, and continuously are they listening to the classes and they are getting proper knowledge and reflecting on their performance or not. So this is what formative assessment, which is continuously happening. The main thing is it will be providing information to the teacher whether the teacher can modify the way the teacher teach or the way the teacher delivers the content, and it will be helping to prescribe the group and individual remedial programs. Particular group of students will struggle in particular topic, everything will be solved with this kind of formative assessment. And it is helping the teacher for correcting the learning deficiency, and the important point is providing feedback to both teachers and students. Teachers also getting feedback, students also getting feedback in this formative assessment. Okay, now let's jump to the summative assessment. What is summative assessment? That will be in the form of pen paper test, which is conducted by the schools and end of the each term and end of the year to move to the next state, to move to the next class. This is what conducted. So here there will be a pressure, there will be like end to end process, and it is like whole education year they have spent almost complete year, they'll be testing in that final exam. That is what summative exam. So this is like assessment. Yeah, assessment is what I noted exam. So this is not continuous, this is like year by year it will be there, which get concluded over that particular year, and after next year it will come again, like that it will be. But formative, keep checking on the students. Formative assessment is helpful to get highest result in summative assessment. That's the true statement. And there is some purpose and there is principles for the assessments. So assessment is checking, understanding, and guides the teaching and motivate the learners. So when particular assessment is given to the student, the teacher will know the student understand the concept what they thought or not. If they blink and they was like what is this assessment I can't do, that is that fact is that the student didn't understand the topic. If the student is very clear in the assessment, then the student understood well the concept. So the teacher can go with the same method. If not, the teacher has to change the method, take some extra efforts and make him understand. So it guides teaching as well and motivate learners when they apply what they're learning in the assess. You mean when they apply what they learned, when they apply in the assessment what they learned, then they'll be really happy, which is like self motivation, and also teacher will motivate the student when it is going properly. And it should be fair, clear and reliable. That is a main principle, that it should be fair, clear and reliable. There should be trust and there should be no partiality in doing the assessment. And we have to choose proper method and collecting accurate data, giving the score properly. Like there is a common myth that if a student is doing some kind of mischievous activity in the class, the tutor or a professor will say that you'll get internal mark minus. This is kind of common thread, right? But that's not fair. So score should be fairly, and result should be proper, and the report should be clearly mentioned. This is in the hands of teacher and also in hands of students should not accept that without doing proper assessment the teacher will give full score. No, that is also wrong. And the student who did proper getting low also wrong. It should be fair enough. Okay, so this is all about unit 1. We seen how the assessment should be, what is the purpose and what's the type, summative, formative kind of thing. Now assessment for learning in classroom, this is the second unit we have. So first unit we just seen all the things. So if you want a key point, measurement is quantitative in nature and assessment is included in qualitative and quantitative. And assessing student is before and after learning experience is important part of evaluation. These are important points. And now coming to unit 2, assessment for learning in classroom. So when it comes to classroom, behavior is really important. So behaviorist model and drawbacks. What is behaviorist model and drawbacks? So the thing is, when man is undergoing various changes and experience in the life, there is a fear of the man based on the lack of conditioning. So here, Boston JB, he is conducting an experiment that how one falls into fear. So how one is falling into fear. That is what the experiment of Boston JB when it comes to this behavioristic thing. So what he is doing is, the classical conditioning is that which is raised automatically without any external stimulus. That is, without any external stimulus, no external inputs are there. So something is raised automatically. Automatically, something is raised, some living being. A dog barks naturally. It salivates automatically on seeing the food or example or of this. So how it is that raised automatically? We can see that example, dog is barking naturally. No one go and sit and thought that this is how you have to bark and all, and no one said that when you see the food secrete the saliva and so that it is tempting you and all. These are the examples, that is nature, that is true example for the automatically raising thing. And the another thing is, this may happen naturally, or if these may be some external stimuli, when this happens automatically they should get reinforced. When it's happen automatically, has to be reinforced. For example, pigeon by nature peck what or all they see in front. Okay, these pigeons will peck what or all they see in the front. When they automatically peck if some grains are given, that response persists. That response persists. And again, the parrot astrology is of this type. So parrot astrology everybody will be familiar more than the pigeon. Parrot astrology is more familiar, where we seen in films and all, right? So it is automatically the parrot have the habit of speaking, but here the man insists, man also do the process with a positive or negative reinforcement. Again, when a doctor giving the injection, child is crying. No one said that if you are facing a pain you have to cry. It is nature. It is nature. So these are all environmental actions that affecting the human beings greatly. So there is something external stimuli that is making extra efforts to do these things. Okay, so this is all the thing like a reflex action. But after few days, the child will start crying. Is just if say see the doctor. Why? Because the child know that this is gonna affect. This is gonna affect. So the stimuli is really, working hard to make that person believe and getting fear. Everything is activated now. All automatically it came right. So now again, you say that already we discussed about Mr. Watson, right? His experiment is what this. Again, the psychological Watson did the experiment after finding that the stimuli is doing these kind of things, how a child get fear and all. This particular conducted experiment on 9 months old baby Albert. Okay, this Albert never fear for the rabbit. When there is a rabbit, Albert is not at all getting fear. Okay, so what he did is, like all the other children, he also feared for a big banging sound. Okay, so here a rat comes to examine. Rat brought before him. So when the tries to touch the big sound of a metal beam was created, Albert expressed the counter reactive feeling of fear and startling explanation. This experiment was repeated in the classical conditioning. So when the rat is alone is shown without any sound, the child saw expression of fear. So this fear of shown was towards other similar features like rat, dog, and some other will generation. So now how to make classical conditioning does not happen and how to minimize it. This is what Albert was given a sweet, and when he was tasting the sweet or playing with his mother, the rat was brought firstly to a distance and then to notice the child. So after some repeated action, the child got rid of fear when he was undisturbed of tasting the sweet. So here, from the Watson's experiment, we identify that where fear is created and fear can be stopped. It's all about how we practice, how we use the stimuli reaction. This is the main problem here. Okay, so we have some principles for this. Behaviorist model of education is like completely based on this stimuli only. Stimulate is the thing it's used. So it evaluates the student performance in right or wrong. And this behaviorism is a philosophy of learning that only focus on objectively observable behaviors and discounts on mental activities as well. Okay, and there is some drawbacks also in this thing. Okay, now next we are coming to constructive approach. So constructivism is also the philosophical view that is describing how the two students and the teacher interact, how the classroom time and space used, how the control within the classroom is in equilibrium state between student and teacher. So it is all about the learning environment, how it is being, how the students are learning by doing and exploring, and assessments including project, portfolio, presentation. Basically how the class goes. This is what this constructivism approach is telling. To guide students thinking, teachers must also understand how children's idea about subject develop, and the connection between their idea and important ideas is a discipline. So here this constructivism is helping to promote a proper climate of sharing responsibility among teacher and student. Therefore power and control are shared all members among classroom. It's not like defined by set of activities. Rather, constructivism is set of belief. Students are willing to be responsible and responsive. Students who are interested to learn will develop their essentials. So it's all about how the students are really doing. It have some characteristics. Constructivist teacher have some characteristics. That is, teacher act as a facilitator. When students are put into crews and group of students working together on a task, teacher will question the examples of environmental problems and how they impact us, and student discuss in the class. That is how the rapport gets built up. Okay. And regularly they'll check the academics and this exam stress, which is so common in nowadays. Teacher will help Constructive teacher will help the student to come out of it. So a proper constructive teacher will help the student completely and make the student shine in their life with the help of the student should also cooperate in this. Okay, next it's all about assessment methods. Where what are the assessment? It's all about the assignment, seminar, portfolio, grading, peer, self assessment, helping the students to learn activity. So nowadays we have 60 marks for the exams and 40 marks for assessment. It is all about what are the projects they are doing, what are the self assessment, what they that really helps them to assess by their self and correct their mistakes in the upcoming assessments and exams. Next, feedback and dialogue. Feedback is really important. When a student do assessment or even an exam, the teacher should give proper feedback that will be improving the students' understanding. Page by page, they have to read and give the proper feedback, and they have to check whether the student is going in proper alignment or not. Feedback is really important. And even this, they have to check whether the student copied the assessment or he himself did it. Everything is really important. And it is all about you need to how the assessment goes and what are the types of assessment we had and all. So how the teacher should be constructive with their assessment and teaching. Now, tools and techniques for classroom assessment and issues. We need some tools, we need some techniques, right? So, first and foremost, technique is all about observation. Observation is a word that derived from a Latin word observare, which is to keep open. To keep open. It has been explained as measurement without using any instrument or device. No instrument or device used, but it is measured. That is what observation. So observation have two types, that is natural observation and participant observation. Natural observation is nothing but it is naturally occurring behavior is observed. For example, observing children in nursery schools in free play situation. So it is like perceiving the behavior as it is. Okay. Then participant observation. This is member of group and then observe. Maintains a rapport with a group and collects the data. It is what participant observation and natural observation. So it has some advantage and has some disadvantage as well. So when it is observed, we are studying mind of a person by external behavior, and we can study the hereditary and the environmental effects on the child, since the findings of this method always systematic, economical and flexible. Disadvantage is personal bias of the observer affects the observation. When there is some personal bias, it will get affected to the observer. So it will be affecting observation of the observer. So that is really important. So next, yes. So the teacher should observe the student and collect the self reports to understand their behavior. Now, next, antidote records and checklists. So we should have proper record and the checklist to track the progress easily. It shouldn't be like within one day we can check and change the things. It should be maintained properly. The record should be maintained properly, and there should be a checklist for checking. Oh, this is checked, this is checked. 10 things will be there. We might forget one thing when we are checking in the second month. So the checklist should be there every time. The agenda should be there to check the things and do it properly. If there is some rules also, like if comes to scoring and all, if it is markers like less than 1 to 2, then high achievement motivation, above averages achievement motivation, like this the teacher should have proper checklist. So rating scales is also really important, which is should be so fair as well, motivating. When the student is scoring low marks, motivation is really important. Motivation is really important. The high achievement motivation is how it is. High achievement motivation is not only for the people who achieved high, it is important for the people who is in the last position. High motivation is needed for them only. And type of tester, we can use multiple choice, short answer, and descriptive things with the clear instruction. Note this, with the clear instruction it has to be, even fill in the blank, it should be with clear instruction. So while giving the test, it should be with clear instruction. And what are the major issues here come? Commercialization, poor test quality, this system dependency. So if you are depending on some particular system, then it will be an issue, the brilliant problem. What is the reform? Online test, open book exam. Open book exams are really hectic to the student. Understand that more than copying from, doing some copying or memorizing and writing, open book system is tough. They cannot score high in open book system. They need much understanding. They should be thoroughly read the book, then only they can write the open book exam. Okay, this is all about unit 4. Now assessment practices in inclusive schools. So when it comes to assessment practices in inclusive schools, first it is all about differentiated and culturally responsive assessment. So there is some assessment that being differentiated and culturally responsive. Assessment must suit diverse students. Students are not from same region or same culture. They are from diverse cultures, they are from diverse areas. So it should be respecting the cultures and abilities. That needs to be very sensitively taken care by the teacher. And use of achievement and diagnostics. So when this achievement test measure knowledge is going, the teacher should use it properly. When it comes to competition and the teacher was identified that this person will do the drawing well, the teacher should insist that, hey, you have interest in that, right? Why don't you enroll? A proper advice is needed at a proper time. Okay. Scoring key and marking scheme. There should be a, again, transparent and fair. It should be transparent and fair. So it's not like scoring is not. Scoring should be there. The pattern should be given to all the students. They should know what is happening, how the scores are being calculated. They should know it. So when it, there is some assessment called pre-assessment, formative, summative. So pre-assessment is like before instruction, formative is like during instruction, summative is like after instruction. So everything should be run properly. What is quality of good test? A test should be valid, reliable, and unbiased. Unbiased is really important. When it is for diverse learners, it support disabled learners and use the feedback to improve confidence and outcomes. There will be some students who couldn't complete it, so we have to give proper feedback as a teachers to improve the confidence and their outcomes. It is teachers necessity. So syllabus is common to all, so there is no cultural difference. They have to give it properly and respect their culture as well. So this is what all about the fourth unit. Handle it sensitively to the students and giving equal importance to the students. This is a main point that is ensuring in fourth unit. And when it comes to a fifth unit, relevant practices of assessment and reporting of quantitative data. So this is what the last unit. So it's not like a deeper we went in every unit. We had the glimpses of unit what it is trying to say. So we should sit and study for the deeper concepts. Drawback of current system: it is over focusing on mark, exam creating stress and limits the creativity, which is really true. Which is really true. Current system is really over focusing on marks instead of making the student understanding, focusing on you should get it mark. You should get it mark. Mark is not a life, but understanding is life. Understanding will give you mark as well. That needs to be clearly defined to the student. Automatically he will learn. So for better learning there should be proper, confident and creative learners. How creative learners will come? Students and teachers should insist the creativity. So teachers should insist to students should have the interest and interpreting quantitative data using mean, median, mode graphs to explain the students performance. So we can say like in test 1 how out of 20 marks the student should have scored 18, test 2 17, test 3 16, test 4 15, test 5 17. So they started in 18 ending in 16 or 17, which is really bad. The graph or the median, the middle, like the central mark is 15. He is not going below 15, not going above 17. So standing in the average. So how to improve it, what is lagging, and he didn't come down also, that is needs to be appreciated. Below 15 also not there, that is also should be appreciated. At the same time it is not going up, that is also needs to be corrected. It is in the teacher's hand. It is in the teacher's hand. And students cooperation. Okay. Depression and correlation, showing the variation in marks and relation between subjects. So if a student is scoring 90 in English and 50 in maths and 80 in science, the subject variation shouldn't be there. A teacher shouldn't tell like you scored 80 in English, why don't you score in maths also. The science teacher will ask, you scored 90 in English, why don't you score 90 and above in science? It shouldn't be there. It should be in a motivated form. If you can score in that, you can score in this also. It should be a proper motivation to the student. It shouldn't be like depression to the student. It is in the teacher's mindset. And giving the visual representation really help the student to learn a lot. Visually representing a particular thing really increases the percentage of learning. Even we are in this, right? Okay, now it's time to see what are all the things we covered in each unit. So coming to the first unit, basics of assessment. Visual, we covered meaning and definition, the role of assessment and learning, how the learning really helps in assessment. Formative and summative. Formative is continuous, summative is year-end exams. Purpose and principle, why the assessment is needed and how it should be fair and all. Principles of how it needs to be practiced, this is to remember. Second, it is all about assessment for learning in classroom. In this unit, behavioristic model and drawbacks, how the teacher needs to be constructive, continuous and comprehensive evaluation, assessment methods, feedbacks and dialogues. Next, unit 3, tools and techniques for classroom assessments and issues, observation and self-reporting, anecdotal records and checklist, rating scales and rubrics, attitude and motivation scales, type of test items, major issues and reforms. How to reform, do the proper motivation to the students, everything is covered in that unit. Unit 4 is all about assessment practices in inclusive school, differentiated of culture responsive assessment, using it properly, scoring key and marking scheme, quality of good test, assessment for diverse learners. It's all about the diverse learners. Coming to the last part, prevalent practices of assessment, that is drawback of current system which is focusing only on marks, assessments for better learning, interpreting quantitative data, dispersion and correlation. So I'm thanking you all for listening this complete video. Here again I'm telling we had the glimpses of this unit. It is not a deep depth summary, it is a glimpses what and all the teacher should do, how this assessment for learning book will help the teacher and student to learn how they should be coordinated, the proper relationships can be built and get the proper scores and proper understanding. This is what we discussed in basic level, it's not into the depth area. Thank you for listening, we'll meet you next video.